The final part of this video series will introduce you to further techniques when it comes to borrowing from yourself with the hopes of making it a little faster in finale. And the second part of this will be introducing problems that occur with ascending seconds in minor keys. Our first minor key progression is 1 to 2 diminished 6. Notice that I have this key of C minor here, which is the same as the key of C minor here. I have a perfectly good tonic triad to use here, and so I'm going to copy that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to copy that whole measure, and you'll see why in a second. I'm going to pull that down until the green light appears, which means go, and release it. Now this is interesting because the tonic triad is in perfectly good condition to be used. When I look at the 4 chord, oh, that bass is the correct bass for 2 diminished 6. The logic here, 2 diminished, is D, F, A. F is the bass when it's in first inversion. Now it's also interesting because this chord also has an A flat. So I can leave, if I've spelled my chords accurately, I can leave that alone. I don't have to touch it. I just need to add a soprano voice and then double it and change the Roman numeral. So we're going to start by, notice that I have layer 2, just observing that. I can erase layer 2 here and just simply change that note to a D. Next, select layer 1. Erase that note, or just use the arrow key and move it down. Notice that I can move that up and down. I can even play a tune. Okay, so there we go. That's done. Next, I change the Roman numeral. Little tricks in finale, just make less time with the mouse. Okay, so now then we're going to change the root factor of this to scale tone 2. And then we're going to change this to suffix 88 because we've already memorized that 88 is the diminished symbol. Okay, there's our 2 diminished. Next, we need to add the 6. And make sure that you have manual input selected for this, or you'll get funny stuff. Okay, here we do not want to show the root factor because we're only going to show the figure itself. I'm going to go back to my suffixes and select suffix number 3, which is a 6. Hit return twice, and that gets you out of there. Now some people like to take their 6 and put it over here, and that's fine. I'm just going to leave my 6 right where it is. Okay, we're ready to go on to the next chord progression. Now I notice over here that I have a perfectly good 4 chord. Now if you're really good, you'll be able to just do all the borrowing and then kind of change it as you go. So there's my 4 chord. Next I'm going to look for a dominant chord. Oh, here's a dominant chord right here. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to bring that down to here. This eliminates the moving back and forth. We don't have a 7 diminished chord to work with, so we'll just have to wait on that. Okay. Next, we're going to work on this measure here. Okay, so 4 to 5 major. I'm in layer 1, so I'm going to do the bass first. The bass goes up. Now everything else is going to go contrary to the bass to the next nearest chord tone. Next I change my layer to layer 2. And contrary to the bass to the nearest chord tone makes a doubled unison. And in the soprano, we have that there. And we're going to naturalize that to make it major. Go to our chord tool. You may want to do all of your chords at the same time so you're not having to switch back and forth. But there you can use the full staff analysis to get that to work a little faster for you. Okay, so onward. Next we're going to voice lead this to major 6. the bass will go up. Aha, a problem has arisen. We can't take B natural to the nearest chord tone, A flat, because of the augmented second. Instead, we take it up to the third factor of the chord in the tenor voice in this case. And we're going to double that third factor. Okay, so here the nearest chord tone available for doubling is going to be the alto. So that's going to go down to C. I change the layer to layer 2 and double the C, and now I'm going to take G down so the fifth factor has presence. And that just about does it there. The next thing we do, add the Roman numeral. Again, you can do this at the end if you wish. I will leave 7 diminished 6 to 1 up to you. You'll have to read about that in the Benward. There's a very specific paragraph, and we will visit that in class at the time when it's appropriate. One other possible finishing touch. Oh, you know, let's do this. Let's transpose this because we do need different keys here. We'll take the key signature and we can transpose this to D minor. D minor, so up a second. Doesn't put anything too high. Okay, transpose notes up. And I hope I do this right. Remember that if you do something wrong, you can always just hit Apple C and it will go back to the way that it was. Now I have a group in D minor. One thing that can make this perhaps too busy, but I'll experiment with this, is we can take the measure tool and perhaps select the entire document and put thin double bar lines in to show that each progression is kind of its separate thing. This is starting to look like a really nice document. One other finishing touch, adding the key signature designation. And when I do this, I like to do it all on one line by tabbing over with the tab key, and then you can kind of move that and position it so that it's wherever you want it with your Roman numerals, just like that. Okay, that about does it for what I want to say about this. Everything else you'll get in class, but we've done a great deal of this exercise together, and now I think you're ready to explore the rest of the exercise on your own. Good luck, and don't forget, if you have questions, there are always people around